week. I took notes, and certainly there were things that I wanted to discuss. And so now that we have the opportunity, let's get to it.
But just before we do, can I just send a signal directly to Miles that we are going to follow the ins and outs on the show from this point forward. So at the half an hour, we'll be out on our regular times. So let's get to it, G.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I'm going through my notes. Now, they are attacking. So, economics and culture. They're attacking the purse and the ability to elect people. You talked this week with a few people, and we were in and out of the conversation about the big ugly bill and the cuts that continue to happen to it, and some of the effects that are being felt already. And then we talked about redistricting as proposed by the fine governor in the state of Texas, with the response from a governor who has taken leadership. We have to hand it to Gavin Newsom, and those of us around the country applaud him for the way he has stepped up and stood in the gap. And there have been a number of elected officials around the country who have done so. But in Gavin Newsom's case, he threw a counterpunch. And for those of us who have liked boxing through the years, I was like, well, now that's an uppercut if I've ever seen one. I'm going to redistrict too. And that is, what you have to do right now. That is what we've been left, because we do not have a majority anywhere, unlike while President Obama was the president. They made it impossible. Mitch McConnell made it impossible. And it even said, we're going to make him a one-term president. Well, you didn't even get a chance to see what kind of president he was going to be. So those comments were just based on much of what, we're seeing now. And, economics and taking away the right to vote. So that's the double squeeze that I saw, that I was intent on talking about on Fat Meat Friday. If you make the people hungry and you take away their right to vote, then you destroy. And that seems like the intention.
I think there are a couple of ways to take away your right to vote. Obviously, there is what we went through in First Reconstruction, the outright denial of the right to vote. And then, of course, voter intimidation, the Ku Klux Klan, poll taxes, paying to vote, count how many jelly beans, literacy tests, how many jelly beans are there in this, 2-gallon jug. If you can't guess the right number, you cannot vote. But the other way to take away the right to vote is to dilute the significance of the vote, to dilute, as Liz King said on our program, the significance of the vote. And so if you were in a district in 1965 when the Voting Rights Act was passed, and the redistricting of 1970, the census, and 1972, you would probably have the most radical African Americans elected to Congress since First Reconstruction. These districts were like 80% Black. So they could have a Gary convention. They could talk that talk. They could do Black power. They could talk about our fair share. They could talk about affirmative action. Those districts were 80% Black, largely packed by the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Over time, we talked about how attacks on the Voting Rights Act of 1965 has diluted the significance of those voices that get elected from those districts. For example, the first congressional district of Illinois, where, my brother Jonathan Jackson serves as the representative, in 1965, 1970, 1972, that census, that district would have been 80% Black, the blackest district in America. The congressman from that district, Ralph Metcalf, Olympian, silver medalist, I believe, gold medalist in the Olympics, ran with Jesse Owens, right? So you had the kind of force of a Ralph Metcalf, a kind of hero in the Congress of the United States. But today that same district is about 49% African American, about 20% Hispanic, and about 30% white. When the Hispanics and the whites in that district come together, and those whites traditionally are the MAGA downstaters, it affects the voice of the congressman who has to cater to all of these different forces within the district. And oftentimes the legitimate needs of Black people get lost. That too is a way to take away our vote and to take away our voice. And you know better than most, Gina, the long struggle of women to get to the Congress of the United States, the ramifications of that and their voices on every issues from their bodies to the fact that women make 60 cents to the dollar of what men make, and yet they cannot buy bread cheaper, they can't pay rent cheaper, they can't go to college cheaper, and they still don't have equal rights in America. That's a profound problem. I think that's real fat meat on Friday.
That is fat meat. And I think one of the things that we've, probably not discussed is understanding that when the Civil Rights Act of 1965 was passed, it didn't mean that it was passed forever. And I think that, not teaching our own history, and certainly as you see teachers or as you've seen teachers retire over the years who grew up during, in the case of my mom, born during the Depression, grew up through Jim Crow, and gone through civil rights, you know, knowing the importance of teaching Black excellence, as you talked about a few minutes ago, and what it means to vote, the importance of voting, and having an attitude of, no, you're going to go vote. There are certain things that are just not even a question in certain generations. But I think when people don't understand that your right to vote is not protected by the Constitution, as well as your right to equal education and equal and high quality health care. If you don't know that, then you may be a little lackadaisical thinking that's your right and it's not going to go anywhere. So we did talk about that this week. And, you are a historian on the Constitution. And so your voice has really been coming through and cutting through a lot in this particular era as you've been able to speak places. Can you talk to us a little bit about the constitutional right or the need to have these things to be constitutional rights?
I'd love to. I just want to add that, when we did move to Tenacious Tuesdays with Liz King and with Barbara Arnwine on the grind, we talked about what was taking place today, and I think also this weekend, the 1,600 different protests around the country. And Barbara Arnwine encouraged us to find a protest near you, a First Amendment protest, your right to speak your mind, constitutional, your right to assemble, a constitutional activity, a right to redress your grievance, a constitutional activity, and in my opinion, the right not to have the National Guard there kicking you in the behind for doing so. Mm-hmm. Now, these are different times. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump gets to define that activity as an insurrection, but the disruption of the ballot counting process in the 2000 election and the subsequent conviction of more than 1,500 insurrectionists who ran through the Capitol and interrupted the electoral count of the presidential election, not as an insurrection, is obviously deeply troubling. And I have shared from the very outset that any cursory view of American history is going to show the development of so much of America's formal institutions around the history of Black people. That Black line, it predates the Democratic Party. We got here in 1619. Our spirit energy, our people, what was happening to us arrived in 1619. Democratic Party didn't start till 1793. Right. We were here in 1619. The Republican Party didn't start until 1854. The liberals didn't show up until Abraham Lincoln died, when they were arguing for Reconstruction and more federal investment into the states. The states resisted. The Democratic Party, the party of states' rights after the Civil War, the party of the Confederacy, did not want investments from the federal government, and they certainly didn't want the federal government coming into their states telling them what to do with their Negroes. It isn't until Roosevelt that many conservative Democrats begin to leave the Democratic Party and they join the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. And the Lincoln Republicans leave the Republican Party as those conservatives enter the Republican Party and move to the Democratic Party. That's how we got the liberals and the conservatives. African Americans can see it as clearly as the nose in the middle of my face. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is Reflectivity with our special guest, Gina Towns, on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. The FDA has approved a twice-a-year shot that can prevent HIV infections. Black 58-year-old Evelyn Lampkin, who's a mom of two, says she was married and didn't know her husband had HIV when she was diagnosed in 2010. She spoke to MSNBC.
If PrEP was out then, I might have considered it.
The CDC says over 39,000 people in the U.S. were diagnosed with HIV in 2023. They say that's a drop in cases. The new drug is called Yes2Go, and doctors say it could be covered by insurance. We're in the height of grilling season, and according to the USDA, Black people consume more beef than any other racial group. Now, here's the bad news. The U.S. government says data shows just last month, the average price for a pound of beef is up past $6. That's a 12% price hike from last year. Finally, the WNBA All-Star Game is tomorrow night, and Glorilla is set to take over the halftime show. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Major League Baseball Players Association is advising Latino and Hispanic players to carry their documentation wherever they go. The memo was sent out to players on all 30 teams in response to the ongoing immigration raids conducted by ICE in Southern California and around the country. 28% of the players on opening day rosters were born outside of the U.S. The majority of international players in Major League Baseball are from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Cuba. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said the league has talked with the Trump administration to help protect their players. The first HBCU football game this season will be broadcast live on ABC. Southern University and North Carolina Central will get national exposure when they meet up in the SWAC MEAC Challenge on Saturday, August 23rd in Atlanta. Kickoff is 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard, not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing, and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there's nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and our weird weekly series, Reflectivity, with Gina Towns, our very special guest and host. Gina, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson Jr. My pleasure to be with you on Fat Meat Friday, where
me tell
we
you something.
learn to discern.
I think it's pretty funny that I'm introducing you on the show that you're responsible for creating. But I just want to say before we get back to these issues, these fat meat issues on Friday, that in our second hour, our very special guest is none other than the incomparable Carrie Gordy. We were going to have Carrie on today for 2 hours. We had a small technical glitch and had to rework this part of our show. We will have Carrie on in the second hour. Carrie was born in Detroit, Michigan, the same year that his father, Barry Gordy, started Motown Records. He grew up all around all of the major stars, Diana Ross, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, Marvin Gaye, and Michael Jackson. He started in the mailroom at Motown, worked in every division of A&R, to publishing and marketing to business affairs. And while at Motown, he wrote and produced songs for The Temptations, The Four Tops, and Billy Preston. The first hit he had as an executive with Motown was his brother Rockwell's "Somebody's Watching Me and I Have No Privacy." Oh, anyway, KG.
Oh, you've been wanting to do that on air. Oh,
KG was also the leader of the 1980s teen idol band Apollo. More about KG when he comes forward on our show in the next hour. G, I want to tell you that Martin Gordon editorial where he says, "Hey, brother, listen, here in Altadena, you sitting around waiting for reparations? Not going to happen, brother, not with the orange man." Man, that has tickled me to death every time I hear it. Listen to Brother Gordon. It's not going to happen, brother. It's not going to happen.
that's the other
Not with
thing
the
you've
orange
been
man.
wanting to do. I'm glad you're getting it all out on Fat Meat Friday.
Oh, listen, let me tell you something. I really want to sing that song in that early advertisement. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. Here they come, y'all. Here they come. I'm ready. I'm ready.
They're coming.
Oh, we coming now.
Are you ready for
I'm-
them to come?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
They are coming.
Okay, G. Thank you.
Yes, they have, they have quite a plan in store and they are coming. We just have to be ready. So what now?
I wanted to comment on one of the shows this week where Barbara Arnwine was talking about the 1,600 rallies that are taking place across the country
Mhm.
and how important it is that we find one. She gave us critical information about the significance of keeping the protests alive, of getting in some good trouble, of voicing our frustration and our legitimate discontent with the ways in which the government, the big ugly bill, and the devastating impact that it's going to have after the midterm elections. Now, I have never seen a piece of legislation that Congress knows is going to be so unpopular, Gina, and so devastating to the American people that they don't want the American people to focus on it while they're voting. So they moved literally the pain till after the elections. Your thoughts, Gina?
Well, absolutely they did that, but people already know. I mean, American people, we are kind of, I'm going to listen to the news, I'm going to get my sound bites, but I think people are paying a little bit more attention than perhaps normal right now. And I think what is very interesting about how they're doing it is they're passing everything at midnight or at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you don't get to see them necessarily on C-SPAN if you choose to turn to it, or there's no live broadcast necessarily about the arguments and people who are fighting against it on the floor of the United States Congress. I mean, this is just unheard of. It's unprecedented. And I think that when you think about the rallies that took place and that was on Thursday, I believe, yesterday, the rallies that took place around the country, I tend to think, especially with this last bill that they passed last night, once again, taking the money from NPR, which is a vital necessity for people who need to hear what's going on with the weather. When you look at what happened in Texas and whomever had fault or whatever, there are notification systems that are not the same across the country. When you start to look at rural America, I feel bad. Not to get to Jamal Bryant, but I do feel bad. I feel bad because nobody, if you do have a heart, nobody wants people to wash away in water because they didn't get a notification. That is just, there's no other word to use for it except evil. And so that brings me to Professor De Silva yesterday when he was saying, and so, I hear all these people talking about Christ and they're Christians, but I don't see it. And, I thought to myself, well, that's Martin Luther King, calling from the Birmingham jail saying, hey, where is everybody who should be in this march with me? Where's everybody who has a dog in this fight for Jesus? You are not on mission. You are without purpose. And your silence makes you as guilty as if you held the gun to the person yourself. So, I think that that's why it's important for us to have Black excellence and still continue with the program. And that's one of the reasons why we're programming the way that we're programming. And I know sometimes it can get a little, overwhelming to continue hearing about it. But if we let it go, if we want to be in dreamland, we've already been asleep, for a certain amount of years at the wheel. We have to wake up. We have to have a plan. We have to come together in unity. Atiba Madion's show, Common Unity is Community.
I was listening intently to Dr. De Silva and Jose Matthews. We have them on the program because they bring an outside of the nation worldview of what's taking place domestically and its consequences for the entire world. Everyone understands what's taking place in Washington, the tariffs, cuts in programs, what its ramifications are for the poorest of the poor all over the planet. And what I found fascinating about Dr. De Silva is he's just upfront. I am an academician. I am a government operative, and I have decided to come to the radio, to come to the Jesse Jackson Jr. show, because we have to speak up now. We have to use our voices. We cannot afford to be silent at this hour. And then Jose Matthews making the parallels between Africa and Europe and what's taking place in South America and how the least of these are voiceless. Really grateful for their contribution, Gina, to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm glad you brought that up because there is $1 million worth of food that is sitting at a dock.
It's $1 billion, isn't it?
Is it $1 billion?
I think it's $1 billion.
$1 billion worth of food that is sitting, waiting to be distributed to people who are starving, and they're not going to move it. It is going to expire. It is the taxpayers' money that sent that food there. I think that's irreprehensible. And if people can't speak up about that now, then I don't know. I don't know what we deserve as a nation. And everybody will feel that particular, I want to say so many different words, scourge. There are all kinds of words that I want to say, but that's just where we are.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hello, this is Dr. Rosa Milligan, self-appointed mayor of South Central LA. Attention business owners, protect your family now. Your business should never bankrupt your family. Form an LLC now. Register for my Zoom seminar at mytechacademy.net or call 213-878-4742.
In today's Sue Happy society, one lawsuit could wipe out your home, money, investments, even the inheritance meant for your grandchildren. But there's good news. An LLC protects your personal assets and your legacy. It's the shield every smart business owner needs. Register now for Dr. Rosie's powerful seminar at mytechacademy.net or call directly at 213-878-4742.
As an experienced business consultant, I will help you set it up right the first time. Visit mytechacademy.net. Call me 213-878-4742. Protect your family. Secure your legacy. Form your LLC today.
Hey, man. Hey, what's up, bro? What's that station you listening to? Oh, man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio. KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Talk Radio. Progressive. KBLA.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833 LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for reentry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
See website for details. Bills Happen is not a lender and does not make credit decisions. Hey, bills happen. So when you need extra cash fast, go to billshappen.com. Have you been turned down? Are your credit cards maxed out? Do you have bad credit? Go to billshappen.com. All you need is a job and a checking account. You can find a lender and get up to $5,000 cash as early as tomorrow at billshappen.com. BillsHappen.com is the smart way to get a personal lender now. So if you need extra money for car repairs, medical bills, family emergencies, whatever you need cash for, go to BillsHappen.com and you can get the money you need as soon as the next day, up to $5,000. At BillsHappen.com, our process is safe, secure, and all online. No one to deal with in person. And Bills Happen does not charge you any fees to use our service. It's easy. When you need a lender, just remember, when bills happen, go to BillsHappen.com. BillsHappen.com for the cash you need now. BillsHappen.com.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Reflectivity Friday, Fat Meat Fridays with Gina A. Towns, KBELA Talk 1580.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, I thought I'd at least try. How cool is it to be on a radio station where a regular listener of the show ends up creating a bug? I mean, creating a drop for the show that's a hit. So I'm sorry. I probably wouldn't have been a musician on stage or an entertainer or singer, but I just had to try. I got a microphone though.
But you are entertaining.
Okay. I appreciate that. Listen, I want to say that Thomas Fitzgerald III has said this in our chat. We have a total dereliction of duty by this administration, from the flood in Texas to the response to natural disasters around the world, the absence of FEMA funding. I'm just adding these to his comments. It was just about the dereliction of duty. Gina, the administration is absent. And right now, while the president is focusing on Mr. Epstein, he's not focusing on the job of running the country.
So it's very interesting. And thank you for that comment, Thomas. I'm going to get to Clarence Thomas in 1 second. But, I was thinking about that earlier this week, and I think I wrote it in the comments while you were on with one of your guests. It could have been on Wednesday when you were talking with Reverend Dr. Todd Urey on the faith of our politics on Wealthy Wednesday. And I thought to myself, the founders set in motion an experiment that had checks and balances. And the checks, there are no checks. There are no checks. You have a Supreme Court who bows to the wishes of the executive branch. And I never thought that I would see that. I have to be honest about that, because to be a member of the Supreme Court, a lifetime appointment, suggests that you have an ideology about the country that makes you want to save it, that makes you want to respect it, that makes you want to grow it. And, really you can see when the legislature is not able to do its check and balance because it is in a majority. I also think along this way that perhaps there should be a situation where we prohibit, when you have an experiment, you have to discipline, you have to train it, you have to prune it, and all of the things that they're doing right now. If you want to fix USAID, fix it. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But our lack of having any sort of check and balance on this executive branch, and the funny thing is, people always think if they side with people and help them do dirt, that they too will be saved in the end. And I am here to tell you that I do not believe for 1 minute that there will not be casualties of people who decided that they wanted to participate in this, and they will not feel the same sort of, and may not be as soon, but justice comes swiftly anyway.
When I think about Black history, and this moment, and just listening to you, which was wonderful, I'm thinking about a speech Lincoln delivered. I think it was at the Sanitary Fair in 1864. In this speech, Gina, he talked about the 4 carpenters. He talked about one carpenter being Justice Taney and the Dred Scott decision. He then talked about another carpenter being the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate. Then he spoke of a 4th carpenter, which in this moment escapes me. But he says, when each carpenter finds a piece of wood and carves it in perfect dimensions, so when the 4 pieces actually come together, they form the shape of a house. It is impossible to believe that when the carpenters came together, that they had all not worked upon a common conspiracy. Now, you have to go back to the Sanitary Fair speech in 1864 to understand Lincoln's logic here. It is impossible for the carpenters in the Roberts Supreme Court to not come together with Speaker Johnson and the President John Thune of the Senate, the Heritage Foundation, the authors of Project 2025, and Donald Trump, that while they may have all been in different places at different times, that when each of them brings a piece of wood to the design, that when they all fit together perfectly, they frame a house, to not believe that they did not work upon a common design. And so we've seen this before. But it would take somebody from our historical tradition to recognize this is what Lincoln was saying at the beginning of the war in what was that date I just said? In 1864, towards the end of the Civil War, that all of the pieces had come together and nearly framed the function of our government. And so here we have it.
Yeah.
No one else can see the pieces coming together. Gina, you want to say something about the Exodus story.
Well, I want to say something about that. Because when you build a house, you have to have a cornerstone.
Yeah.
And that is the foundation. And the Constitution is exactly that. It is the cornerstone, and within the cornerstone, there's a cornerstone. And it is the office of the president. And so when you give over what I will call the sacred place, if you will, where you stake your ground, where you stake what we're going to believe, what we're going to build, and you sacrifice that, I don't know what else you expect. It's almost, now I'm going to go to the 3 Little Pigs. You built a house on sand. You built a house out of wood. And you built a house out of bricks. Now, the one on sand gets washed away. The other one catches on fire. I can't remember my fairy tales, but I have to think that Lincoln may have been along those lines as he was telling the story about carpentry. And, I think that was his family's business. They were carpenters, and I'm reminded about another carpenter. His name is Jesus. But, we have strayed far away from our original one nation under God.
I couldn't agree more. In our next hour, of course, the incomparable Kerry Gordy will be joining us, and we will be talking about a couple of projects that he's working on, but namely, I believe, the project concerning
Ed Sullivan.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, Kerry Gordy will be joining us.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. The FDA has approved a twice-a-year shot that can prevent HIV infections. Black 58-year-old Evelyn Lampkin, who's a mom of two, says she was married and didn't know her husband had HIV when she was diagnosed in 2010. She spoke to MSNBC.
If PrEP was out then, I might have considered it.
The CDC says over 39,000 people in the U.S. were diagnosed with HIV in 2023. They say that's a drop in cases. The new drug is called Yes2Go, and doctors say it could be covered by insurance. We're in the height of grilling season, and according to the USDA, Black people consume more beef than any other racial group. Now, here's the bad news. The U.S. government says data shows just last month, the average price for a pound of beef is up past $6. That's a 12% price hike from last year. Finally, the WNBA All-Star Game is tomorrow night, and Glorilla is set to take over the halftime show. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Major League Baseball Players Association is advising Latino and Hispanic players to carry their documentation wherever they go. The memo was sent out to players on all 30 teams in response to the ongoing immigration raids conducted by ICE in Southern California and around the country. 28% of the players on opening day rosters were born outside of the U.S. The majority of international players in Major League Baseball are from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Cuba. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said the league has talked with the Trump administration to help protect their players. The first HBCU football game this season will be broadcast live on ABC. Southern University and North Carolina Central will get national exposure when they meet up in the SWAC MEAC Challenge on Saturday, August 23rd in Atlanta. Kickoff is 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580, Fat Meat Fridays, with our very special guest, Gina Towns. And momentarily, we'll be joined with Kerry Gordy. Kerry brings so much life and vitality to our show that we'd love for him to be a regular contributor on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I mean, he is all things business, all things media, all things communication, all things entertainment, and one of the richest legacies of any tradition for African Americans, for all Americans, comes obviously by definition from the Gordy family. So much of what their family has done amounts to the soundtracks of our lives. I want to thank Henrietta Holmes for listening in with us today, and Glenda Smith and V. Rogers, and all of our regular participants in the program, Thomas Fitzgerald, Corey Weems, Barbara Jean. So grateful that you guys are listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Gina, it's Fat Meat Fridays.
It is Fat Meat Friday. And we are on Reflectivity. We've been doing a little bit of that today on Friday. And so while Kerry is on his way, and I just spoke with him and I apologized because we were going to be with him for the entire 2 hours today. But I would say we've had a rather
I am so
lively conversation about the things you discussed this week. And I want to get to I want to get to Clarence Thomas while I'm waiting on.
Talking
While
about
we're waiting
sorry.
on
Sorry.
Kerry. I mean,
What's on Clarence's mind, G? I mean, my goodness. I've never seen, well, I want to be very careful here. I've never seen anyone who hates themselves and hates their people and the tradition of progress that our people have had to overcome, quite like Justice Thomas. I mean, for almost 4 decades, I think it's been that he's been on the Supreme Court. I think I was in college, or maybe finishing high school when he was first confirmed on the bench. And there was always this hope that maybe, well, if we can just get him there. I mean, Thurgood Marshall's gone now, but if we could, we can just get him there. Then we had that eruption in his confirmation hearings with Anita Hill, right? Then he was known for 2 decades, maybe 3 decades, as the silent justice who never said anything. And now, nearing the end of his life, man, this guy won't shut up. And he is just tearing up everything Martin Luther King and our people have done in Second Reconstruction. Gina, I know that our guest is joining us momentarily.
It is amazing. I think I hadn't really thought of it in those terms, that he doesn't like himself, because I said a little while ago that sometimes people will do things, people pleasing, because they want to be in the crowd. And they have a perception that somehow they'll be different if it's education or if it's money. But at the end of the day, history says that it doesn't matter. When people see the color of your skin, the color of the money you have doesn't matter to them. And that just, that has been since the beginning of time.
No, I think that's right. I don't think that it's escapable at all, the shortcomings and the realities of that. Gina, we have a very special guest that's joining us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Reflectivity and Fat Meat Fridays. He's Kerry Gordy.
We do. Kerry Gordy, affectionately known as KG, was born in Detroit, Michigan, the same year as his father. Berry Gordy started Motown Records. He grew up around all the major stars such as Diana Ross and Michael Jackson. In the early 90s, KG and Al Bell teamed up at Bellmark Records and released tag teams Womp. There, whoop. Oh, that's whoop. There it is.
Whoop. There it is.
Which was, it went quadruple platinum. And so I'm sure in the background somewhere, we'll see that hanging on Kerry's wall. But then he ran Prince's Music Company. That is what has endeared me to Kerry along the way. And he was also totally responsible for the international #1 smash hit, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, when Prince left Warner Brothers and started his independent label, NPG. Kerry was the vice president of A&R for Warner Brothers, the #1 record company at the time, with a roster of 87 artists under their urban division. KG was also a judge for the Miss USA pageant, where Carol Gist became the first African American to win and also the first crowned woman from Michigan. KG also founded this, that, and the other. But I want to get to what he's doing right now. He has a documentary out on Ed Sullivan. Let's welcome Carrie Gordy to the show.
Carrie, welcome forward to the show.
Hey, it's good to be here.
Honored to have you back.
Nice.
We're going to talk a little bit more about some of your accomplishments, because a couple of them are very interesting to me, and some of the nuances of the music industry. But Carrie, you had a really exciting week, and the other night you had your special viewing.
Yeah, it was screening for Sunday Best, which is the let's call it the Ed Sullivan story told from a Black perspective with a Black heart, so that people could understand how much of a champion and how much of a hero he was to the whole Black culture by giving Black artists the opportunity to have a platform to be seen in a humanistic way, as opposed to yes, a boss or a maid or a butler. So it was very, very important that I gave that I'm letting the audience see, who Ed Sullivan was and why he was so important to not only Black culture, but any culture of any people that weren't white, whether they were Mexican, Jewish, Irish, women. He gave anybody who had a talent a platform, and it just so happens that Black folks have more talent.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns, and in this hour, our very special guest is none other than the incomparable Carrie Gordy. When we come forward,
a safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you.
Agnes was in deep trouble with the IRS.
I owed the IRS a lot of money. I did not know what I was going to do. I was scared.
Agnes caught a break and found out about Optima Tax Relief.
When I called Optima Tax, they guaranteed me that they were going to help me out the best that they can. And they did.
Optima stopped the IRS.
No more telephone calls, no more letters. Optima Tax took care of everything. I can finally sleep at night. I was stress-free.
Agnes was finally free from her IRS nightmare.
It was like a burden was lifted off of me, and it was a great feeling.
Are you in deep trouble with the IRS? You might want to listen to Agnes.
I would refer Optima Tax Relief to anyone because they got me debt-free from owing the IRS any more money.
Call Optima right now for your free consultation. Call 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077. 800-919-9077.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
The following is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways with the purpose of soliciting sales of vacation ownership. For complete details, please visit FVGRadio.com. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting eggs and is not a bird, and get a complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. The proceeding is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Giveaways and not sponsored by this program or its affiliates.
Broadcasting live from the Park USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour on Fat Meat Fridays is the incomparable Carrie Gordy. Carrie, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Hi.
Our very special guest on and host on this show is always Gina Towns on Fat Meat Fridays. Gina, spend some time with Carrie.
I want to tell people that Carrie Gordy managed Rick James, who grossed $40 million in concert sales and monetized Bruce Fisher's catalogs of songs, including Evergreen Standard, You Are So Beautiful. I also want to let everybody know that Carrie is known as the Robin Hood of the industry for his clients. Jesse's trying to fix my mic. But he's the Robin Hood for his clients. Why? Because so many people don't know how to manage or to keep their royalties. And sometimes when you sign a contract, you have not signed the best thing for yourself. And we all remember when Prince wrote slave across his face, and Carrie is the person who knows how to fix it. We thank you for that, Carrie.
Well, I wouldn't know. I don't know if I'm the person who knows how to fix it, because they when people ended up signing their contracts in the beginning, it was just the way, it was the conventional wisdom of the business. So either you signed a contract that was onerous or you didn't get the deal. And if you didn't get the deal, you didn't have the opportunity to become visible so that you could actually control your future. So a lot of people think that when they sign their rights away early in their careers, that it was a bad thing. But the point is what was his name? Jefferson Jenkins wouldn't sign his rights away, and he was more talented than a lot of these people that you know. But the point is that who knows Jefferson Jenkins, right?
Absolutely.
So my job here as the Robin Hood is I do copyright termination and recapture. So I terminate contracts for people who assigned their rights over early in their careers before they had the leverage to make the best deals for themselves. And then I use that termination as leverage to either create a new deal for them with better terms or to get their copyrights back, depending on where their copyrights sit in the law. Very arduous, extremely labor-intensive, time-intensive, and capital-intensive, but very rewarding every time you have a win and every time somebody either gets their stuff back or gets paid, like a Valerie Simpson or
Brandy.
Excuse me?
All right, Brandy.
Well, I didn't do Brandy, so
Okay.
but if Brandy was done, then good for her.
Okay.
But we did a tremendous amount. We did Smokey, and we did Todd Rundgren, and we did some of the Temptations, some of the Jacksons, things like that, right?
Those are huge catalogs.
Carrie, let me ask a quick question. Sunday's Best. I want to shift to Ed Sullivan for a moment. What kind, and from your perspective, looking at Ed Sullivan's life from the perspective of Black people, how seminal a figure is he and was he?
Well, Ed was such an important figure to the Black community, because without Ed, I don't know if television would have ever embraced Black talent. It was geared to only embrace white talent. So when you're talking about people like Sammy Davis Jr. and Louis Armstrong and Cab Calloway and Ella Fitzgerald, and and it goes on into the Stevie Wonders and the Jackson 5 and the Diana Rosses of it all. Can you imagine them never having a platform to be seen by millions of people? And so he not only gave them the platform to be seen, but he showed us in a light that was respectable. He actually, touching the hand of a Black female while on stage at that time was almost blasphemous. So to that end, he had the Ku Klux Klan on his case. He had the advertisers on his case saying that they were going to drop him, and they did. He had people threatening to not only bodily harm, but to ruin his career if he were to keep putting these people on and humanizing them. So not only did you get to see Nat King Cole, but you got to see Nat King Cole looking good. You got to see Nat King Cole being smart and intelligent, and people in the South and all over the country then said, wait a minute.
No, yes, a boss. None of that.
These Black people aren't what we have been portrayed them to be. This is not effing birth of a nation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So the fact is that the fact of the matter is that he had a platform between 35 and 50 million people a week.
Wow.
And someone like me, and I caught the last end of it. You guys are a little younger, so you probably didn't miss even that. But someone like me could actually go on a Sunday night and see Black people on TV, which was shocking, and which was where everybody who was Black went to their television sets on that Sunday night so they can see that person. Getting to see somebody like a Diane Carroll, she ended up with the first television show, Black television show. It's like, Nat King Cole, it was just unbelievable.
Yes.
Right.
Carrie, we have a clip for our listeners and our viewers at social media. If they have never seen or heard Ed Sullivan, they can take a listen.
Okay.
Now here are 5 brothers from Gary, Indiana, ranging in age from 10 to 18. They're a sensational group. Here, the Jackson 5. So let's have a fine
Yeah.
Wow.
And the Jackson 5.
I don't know where you found that clip, G, but I mean, that's amazing. I know that song from obviously Sly Stone.
Right.
But you didn't realize that the Jacksons covered it.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow. Wow. Carrie, so I do have this question about, I mean, obviously the influence of your family bringing, for example, a lot of this talent forward, and then they might end up on the Ed Sullivan Show, but the Gordy family is as much a part of this story without it being part of the story as Ed Sullivan, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Well, it was very important because the pinnacle of entertainment and entertainment visibility was Ed Sullivan. The biggest acts in the world were on Ed Sullivan. So when my father first approached Ed Sullivan, because we had our first major big star, Stevie Wonder, we wanted to be on Ed Sullivan at 13 years old, right? Once Ed Sullivan got to see how amazing and how poised, because we had a division called artist development at Motown. And in this artist development, we knew we were Black. We knew we had to be better. We knew we had to be classy. We knew we had to be clean. We knew we had to make sure that those white advertisers and white folks weren't going to turn off because they thought it was too ghetto or whatever. We had an artist development division at Motown, where they had to dress a certain way, they had to act a certain way, they had to speak in a certain vernacular, not using too many colloquialisms and so forth and so on. So to that end, they were accepted. And once Ed saw that he had a place that he could have Black entertainers come on that he knew were going to be polished and accepted and the whole shot, he forged a relationship with my father that became incredibly strong and fell in love with Dinah Ross. Right?
Let me ask Gina a question, and I'd love for her participation in this. Whatever happened to artist development? I mean, artist development.
It stopped. It's like, the advent of YouTube, people get discovered on YouTube, and the work that the artist development departments did within record labels just began to wane.
Did they ever have one? I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, the
A&R is a big deal, and people were planted around the country to find talent in their A&R positions and bring them into the fold and begin to develop them. But okay, so in that clip, Carrie, I really wanted it to play to the end because I wanted to, take a look at the audience reaction. And some of the people who would have been sitting in Ed Sullivan's audiences have never seen Black people perform, much less with that kind of excellence. And I thought about while I was looking at it, like, I know because my mom and Mrs. Chambers were, they knew the Jacksons. I am from Gary. I did not know them before they moved, but I know how much I thought, oh, that's Joe Jackson right there with those turns, those twists and turns. How many times did they have to do it before they went to the Ed Sullivan Show? The perfection that Joe demanded and that Catherine demanded from her children. But isn't that the real problem, is that in that era, people were exposed to something, to another culture, to people who looked different from them, but they could enjoy it. And now we don't really do that as much. There's no entree into telling each other's stories, I guess is what I want to say.
Well, okay, so it was a totally different time. Not only did we have to we had to be cognizant of knowing that we were kind of the first, and if the first in a if the first blow it, then it's really going to be hard for the next, right? If Barack had blown it, right, it would have been really, really hard for the next, right? I mean, Barack had to be 10 times better than whoever that other white politician would have been in order to just be average, right? So to that end, we knew that. What was that question? I'm sorry, I got off.
No, you did not at all. When we come forward, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. This is the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. You're listening to Fat Meat Fridays on KBLA Talk 1580. We are with the incomparable Carrie Gordy. Carrie is back on KBLA. When we come forward, more with Carrie Gordy and Gina Towns.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
BIN News this hour. I'm Doug Davis. Coming up.
You send your children to school with the hope that they are going to be protected, they're going to be cared for.
A black family from a Seattle, Washington suburb is joining other families saying that their special needs children are being mistreated. Also, African-American Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, says every resident deserves safe corners and clean streets. Detroit's African World Fest returns today through Sunday. But first, here's BIN News now.
The National Urban League's annual convention is this week, and we're hearing from President Mark Morial about the state of Black America. He also spoke about the Trump administration taking health care away from moms and older Americans.
You can take it away and you don't feel it because you don't have any compassion.
Rallies happened nationwide yesterday to push back against President Trump's policies. In Chicago, Black Mayor Brandon Johnson spoke at a rally.
We will stand firm as a welcoming city, ensuring that the immigrant community is protected.
Protesters say they plan to keep up the pressure with more nationwide rallies in coming weeks. It seems the $50 million civil lawsuit that Shannon Sharpe once called a shakedown has been settled. Sharpe announced on social media that there has been a mutually agreed upon resolution and that the matter is closed. The alleged victim accused Sharpe of sexual assault and battery. The victim hired famed Texas attorney Tony Busby, who says the pair were in a long-term consensual relationship. I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now. Back to you, Doug.
All right, thanks. Well, the Big Apple's Black Mayor Eric Adams may not have a fan in his hand, but he's putting his boots on the ground lately and recently even an African safari experience for kids. VIP passes will offer patrons front row access to meet and greets with artists like The Sounds of Blackness, Midnight Star, and The Dramatics. Stay informed, stay connected, and subscribe. Follow BIN News this hour wherever you get your podcast. I'm Doug Davis.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Major League Baseball Players Association is advising Latino and Hispanic players to carry their documentation wherever they go. The memo was sent out to players on all 30 teams in response to the ongoing immigration raids conducted by ICE in Southern California and around the country. 28% of the players on opening day rosters were born outside of the U.S. The majority of international players in Major League Baseball are from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, and Cuba. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred said the league has talked with the Trump administration to help protect their players. The first HBCU football game this season will be broadcast live on ABC. Southern University and North Carolina Central will get national exposure when they meet up in the SWAC MEAC Challenge on Saturday, August 23rd in Atlanta. Kickoff is 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard, not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there is nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Jackson Jr., welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Fat Meat Fridays with the incomparable Gina Towns and our very special guest, the incomparable Carrie Gordy. Gina, welcome Carrie back to the show.
Well, welcome back, Carrie. You see, I know how to follow directions on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. But Carrie, we were getting into a little bit about Ed Sullivan and why he is so important to Black entertainment. Can you give us a summary of, tell us why you decided to do the documentary number one and what is contained in it?
Okay. The reason that I decided to do the documentary is I had worked on two projects with Sasha Jenkins. Sasha Jenkins is an amazing director that has a feeling for Black culture. And I had done two projects with him prior. One was the Bismarcky project, and the second was the Rick James bitch project. And we did really well and got great accolades and so forth and so on. And we sold them to Paramount Plus, Showtime, whatever it was, right? So then he came back to me and he said, you know what? I have another project I want to do with you, right? And I was like, well, what is it? And he said, would you be interested in doing Ed Sullivan, right? And I was like, yes, I would be interested in doing Ed Sullivan. He says, yeah. And I said, but here's the thing, man. If we do it, we really need to do it from a Black perspective, because everybody knows the Beatles and Elvis, right? People know that because that's been forced down people's throats through the years, but they didn't have the understanding of the real story that was there. And the real story that was there was our parents got to see their talent for the first time, Black people on television for the first time in a humanistic way. So yes, when Ed Sullivan would come on on, all the black families would rush to whoever's house had the TV. And they would turn that. No, this is true. They would turn that.
Everybody didn't have a TV, did they?
No. Most
If you didn't have an antenna, you had a wire hanger.
If you didn't have a wire hanger, you stuck your finger in that hole and lifted your arm.
That's right. So they would all rush to the place where everybody had the TV, and they would get to see Satchmo or Sammy Davis Jr. You know, this is amazing. And you don't realize how important it was for Oprah to be able to see Diana Ross, somebody who looked like her, gave her the inspiration to say, wait a minute, that's what I want to do. I can do this.
Yeah.
Prior to that, Black people didn't even understand that they could do that, right? I remember when they used to say, and I was young, but people when I was in elementary school, they said, you can be anything you want to be. You can be the president of the United States. And I would think to myself, yeah, right. Right? Because I had never seen it. I had never seen it. But now my child has lived it, and she knows that she can be it. Right? I lived the Michael Jackson 5. I saw that actual footage that day live. And I was like, whoa, I can do this, right? I mean, now that was a little optimistic, but, but put it this way, somebody like me can do this.
Yes.
Right? So it was incredibly important. And Sasha had to have the families write off on this thing. You know, we're going to do the Ed Sullivan, but we're going to do it from this perspective. The family had to say, which is Margot Special, who is the granddaughter of Ed Sullivan. She had to say, yeah, that's what my grandfather would want, because he was an immigrant when he came into the country, an Irish immigrant, and they treated him like garbage, and they said he was lazy, and they said he was a drunkard, and all of this kind of stuff. And his father taught him, listen, we live in Harlem, we live next to these people, we see that these people have honor and integrity and are hardworking people. We are not going to, we are not going to give that same impression that we know is not correct, right? We're going to treat everybody based on their merit. Doesn't matter if they're Black, doesn't matter if they're Mexican, doesn't matter if they're a woman, doesn't matter what they are, Irish, Jewish, doesn't matter. If they're great, we're going to put them on our show. And it just so happens that there were so many great African-American talented people, and unusually talented. Better. They were better.
How about that? Gina?
So you just made me in this moment think about the nuances about Ed Sullivan too. And I know that the documentary is fabulous. I can't wait to see it. Where can we see it? Let's tell our audience.
Okay, you can see it on July 21st on Netflix.
Okay.
Netflix.
That is Monday.
Yo, yeah.
And that's why we're going to have you back in the first hour on Monday, because we're going to celebrate that.
Yes, Monday is a big day, and it's very important. By the way, Sasha, who is the director, Sasha Jenkins, he made this great masterpiece and literally passed away last month. He's not going to be able to see his masterpiece on Netflix, but his wife and his family and all of those people will be able to celebrate. And I mean, he's the guy that did the 50 Cent documentary. He's really incredible movie maker. Incredible.
Well, certainly our condolences to you and his family, and for all of the people that he has blessed with his creativity and the talents that he has been given. That's pretty amazing. That went that way. But in the moment, I thought about Ed Sullivan saying, "Tonight we've got a really big shoe."
That's right.
And I remember as a little girl, I was like, "Why does he say shoe?"
Right here on our stage. He's like, right here on our stage, we have a really big shoe.
I want our audience to understand that this documentary is not just for Black audiences. This is an American story.
Absolutely.
And it's from our perspective. It shows something about the evolution and the development of our culture. When we come forward, I do want to ask Carrie the question, did appearing on the Ed Sullivan Show help to begin the change and acceptance in hotels, in restaurants, and giving dignity to Black entertainers, what they deserved that white entertainers obviously took for granted? This is groundbreaking stuff in that era. We were still being escorted into the back halls of hotels and entertainment venues. And then suddenly a humanization process takes place. And some of that is because we were welcomed into the living rooms of millions of Americans by Ed Sullivan. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Our very special guest is Carrie Gorey when we come forward.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Los Angeles is rebuilding after the fires. If you call Altadena home, you understand the toll and the challenge of rebuilding. Now is your chance to shape the future of our neighborhood. Through Engaged California, survivors like you can help guide how we rebuild quickly, thoughtfully, and with lasting resilience. It's safe, it's anonymous, and it's powerful.
Fire is a highly traumatic experience. There should be counselors available as soon as possible and shelters to help people cope.
I've been reaching out about my recovery plan. It's not that doors are getting slammed, it's that no one answers my knock.
Two friends of mine lost everything, and I have thought of them every single day since the fire. People need to process this, and they need all the help they can get.
These are real stories shared by survivors. Your experience can drive real action. Your story can help us build back stronger. We need to hear from you because no one knows your community like you do. Through Engaged California, survivors of the wildfires have the power to shape how we recover together. Your voice, your Altadena. You help decide. Visit engaged.ca.gov and sign up now.
Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at endurancewarranty.com.
This is an announcement to all United States vehicle owners who own a 2003 or newer vehicle with a manufacturer's warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. With a struggling economy and the cost of living on the rise, Endurance is now offering an affordable, low-cost vehicle coverage plan to the general public. As of today, you could be one of millions of drivers that now may qualify to have your vehicle protected under this coverage and have all future covered auto repairs paid directly to the repair shop for you. You pick your plan. You pick your deductible. You even pick the repair shop. Roadside service, towing, and rental coverage is included. Get your vehicle protected now and save your wallet from costly vehicle repairs. A toll-free number has been established for you to call for your free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number to call is 800-290-6207. 800-290-6207. Again, that's 800-290-6207.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to our final segment, the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the incomparable Carrie Gordy. Carrie, Ed Sullivan emerges as a civil rights pioneer in Sunday's Best, according to the Boston Globe. It's already getting amazing reviews.
Nice. Well, it's really interesting. In the last segment, you ended up, and I guess you were trying to figure out if this platform that Ed Sullivan gave actually helped the whole, I guess, movement from, we can call it all the way from segregation to where we are now. Okay.
To dignity, yes.
Yeah, to dignity. And what happens is that Sammy Davis Jr. was a star at a certain point in his career. And he was such a star that Bob Harrah of Harrah's Hotels, that were the big deal at the time in Reno, said, you know what? We want to make a Sammy Davis Jr. studio. Sammy Davis Jr. Auditorium Theater, right? And they actually named this thing the Sammy Davis Jr. Theater. But do you know what? Sammy had to enter his own theater from the back. Okay? And through this visibility that Ed Sullivan had given to the whole thing. It's not one thing, it's a lot of things. It's almost 6 degrees of separation between things that happen and then how they spiral into other things. But by the time that the show had taken his course, Sammy can now walk into his own theater with dignity in the front door as opposed to the back door.
Wow.
So, yes, I mean, the whole thing without Ed Sullivan, who knows what would have happened? And I'm talking about all the way to Barack being president, because Berry Gordy, he finds this guy Michael Jackson, right? And they make the Jackson 5 big stars. Then Berry Gordy decides he's going to do a movie, The Wiz, right? Where Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones are doing music together, right? And then this guy Steven Spielberg. And then Quincy Jones and Michael do the biggest album in the world, Thriller, right? Which gets the attention of Steven Spielberg, right? And Steven Spielberg then says, Quincy, partner with me on this movie. And they do this movie, The Color Purple. And Steven says, hey, there's this girl out of Chicago who has this regional television show we should put in this movie. Through that, her television show gets national recognition, and that's Oprah. And then Oprah says, wait a minute, I am going to endorse this candidate, Barack Obama, and he becomes president.
At some point in time, Gina, that's Providence. I mean,
The timeline.
Carrie,
and
who knows that history other
that-
than you?
That
Wow.
is amazing.
I'm just saying.
That's
I'm
right.
just saying. What about Barry Gordy and Al Bell helping to fund Martin Luther King? And how about Al Bell helping to fund Push for Jesse?
And Barry Gordy.
Yes. My point is that what happens? Martin Luther King gets a holiday because he's got a Stevie Wonder now to push that agenda, which he would have never had he not had this platform. So it's hard to quantify how important it was, but it has to start somewhere. And we need people now to be like Sullivan was then.
Yes.
Netflix's Sunday Best documentary on the life of Ed Sullivan as told from the lens of African Americans. It's not just for white audiences. Everyone needs to watch on July 21st on Netflix. Am I stating that correctly, Carrie?
You are. It's Monday. Monday, July 21st. I can't say it enough. But the one thing that we do need is we need all the HBCUs and we need all of the younger people to embrace it and to understand our history, because this is what I believe. I believe that if we don't get it in this generation, it could be lost forever. And that's the problem. Our history gets lost. Jewish history doesn't get lost. They let you know, right? Do not want our history to get lost because everybody's going in their own separate direction. It's very important for our kids to know about a Sammy Davis Jr. or an Ella Fitzgerald or a Nat King Cole or Michael Jackson even. Right? It's very important.
So first, let's say thank you to you and the time, the recognition of what you just explained, because it's important that you recognized it and it's important that you took action toward it. So thank you. And I want you to give us a sneak peek. I mean, hopefully you are somewhere with all the passion that you have about this project. Hopefully you're in the documentary somewhere, either doing, the introduction or something, but give us a sneak peek about who is in the documentary.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody that I just mentioned, but you have people like Dionne Warwick. You have people like Harry Belafonte, who is very important to the whole civil rights movement and tells a story of the human side of Ed Sullivan. You have just all kind of from the Temptations to the Supremes to just everybody that, well, I can't say everybody. There's a lot left on the cutting room floor because we had a finite amount of time to do it. I mean, we had a finite amount of time, the 90 minutes to make it happen. So a lot of people didn't make the cut, but a lot of them did. So it's a lot.
That's awesome. And
Gina, I think your mic is off.
That's great. We appreciate that. I cannot wait to see it. We're going to have you back on Monday. And in the last couple of minutes, Jesse always asks our guests for a what?
A word of hope. These are amazing times, and you're bringing some hope into the coalition that has kept us together, that has sustained us, and you have shown us a way in which we have worked together under extraordinarily difficult circumstances. In the last minute and a half of our program, Carrie, can you offer us a word of hope?
Well, I believe that things are taken so out of context. And I think that there are only really two things that are really important in life. And everything else is either secondary or tertiary. And I think that those two things would be, first, health. Definitely health and the health of you and your loved ones and the people that you surround yourself with. It's very important to make sure that if you have the ability to, not wait until something really goes wrong with you, and to just and to take that. In the Black community, we have hypertension, high blood pressure, all of this kind of stuff. Check it out. Just check it out. Check it out. And then secondly, happiness. You don't have to be rich to be happy. Happiness comes from within. We are born, as crazy as things are, we're still in the greatest country in the history of the world, and we still have the ability to make a change and to make things right. Yes, there have been issues over the last 8 to 12 years, but for all intents and purposes, we can do more, and we can really look into ourselves for happiness as opposed to looking for other people to make us happy.
Thank you, Carrie. See you on Monday. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on July 21st on Netflix. Sunday Best is documentary that will be on Netflix, and Carrie Gordy has done an extraordinary job, and the entire team. Thank you, Gina Pound, for Fat Meat Fridays.
And Sunday Best, this is very important. You have to remember it's Sunday Best, Sunday Best, Sunday Best, because a lot of people won't see the Ed Sullivan tied to it and might miss it. So just remember that Sunday Best is tied to Ed Sullivan.
I want to thank you, KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Until Monday.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.